wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out? True to this game, and I'm a lifer, ayy. Feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy.
Wazam with it, wealthy people. It is your boy, David Bellard, one half of the Black Wealth Renaissance crew. You already know what we do. We back with another great show. I'm here with my brother from another Jalen. Wazam with you.
Whoa. What's good? What's good with it, y'all? It's your boy, Jalen Clark, man. I am back in the building as well. Another great week to be back. Feeling amazing. How you doing today, my brother?
Man, I'm doing all right, bro. I'm getting over a little illness, you know what I'm saying? Over the weekend, I got under the weather a little bit. This weather been crazy, dog. All this hot, cold, and kind of gave me a little bug, but I shook that stuff off real quick, you know what
So
I'm saying?
when y'all ended up getting cold, because I ain't gonna lie to you, Houston, it was warm for a little minute. I thought, we was about to go into summer. Then today, this morning, or yesterday, it got cold.
Nah, it been since like this weekend for real. Like the weather had dropped, and I got like a
Gotcha.
little sinus type deal going on, little half-ass little flu, man. Started getting some chills and stuff, but like I said, you know what I'm saying, took a little medicine, drank my tea, gonna sweat that out, got that up off me, and I'm feeling good, feeling blessed, back at it for another great installment of the pod, man.
Got you, man. That's great. I'm feeling great too. I actually went to Louisiana this weekend. I went to go see my family.
That's
My
always
cousin
good.
had a baby shower, so got to see my grandmother, which I've been wanting to do because she got in an accident like maybe about a month and a half ago. My girl using a cane right now, man. So she
Ah,
moving around
man.
with the cane, but it's Patsy P, man.
Man, Miss
You
Patsy
can't
P
slow
ain't
her down,
never
man.
slowing down,
Yeah, you
dog.
can't slow her down. I noticed they had to help her get up and stuff. So she's actually gonna be 75 this year. They talking about doing a surprise birthday party for her. So good to just
You gotta let
yeah.
me know if y'all do that, man. Gotta pull up
Got
on
you.
Miss
I
Patsy, man.
got you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like I said, she can't rooster like she used to, but she's still doing good. She's still getting around. So
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, dog. Yeah,
yes,
like you
sir.
said, family, that's the stuff that put the battery back in my back. I'm gonna get a chance to go see mine later this month. That's really a lot of the times we talk about this journey we be on, that's the why, the family, the people
hmm
that really mean the most to you in this world. So definitely know that was a good feeling, bro.
Yeah, it definitely was, man. Definitely was. But yeah, man. Besides that, you ready to get this episode started, dog?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all already know how we do. Before we get started, we ask that y'all leave us that 5-star rating and review on the show.
I
Uh, you
needs
know,
that.
we really love to hear that feedback. We actually had got a new review recently. Matter of fact, let me pull that up real quick so we just read
Gotcha.
that off to y'all, share that with y'all. Let's see. So we got a most recent review we have on the pod from J_2Mellow. What's up, guys? I want to let y'all know that y'all really changed my life with this podcast. My financial literacy has increased tremendously since I started listening to you guys. A few years ago, I started investing in crypto, going hard on my 401k, and I even flipped a mobile home, all of which helped me save up for a down payment to purchase a home for my family. Keep doing what you're doing. The culture needs you. P.S. Be yourselves. If you need a cuss to make a point, then don't hesitate. I fucks with you. Our generation needs to be talked to a certain way for them to take the information to heart. Hey yo, shout out to you, J_2Mellow.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that taps in, that gets value from the show. As always, this is why we do this. So y'all, we ask always, y'all leave us those rating and reviews. They keep us going. They keep us motivated. You feel me?
They definitely do. Definitely do. So shout out to you, brother. Thank you for leaving that 5-star rating and review.
And congratulations on getting that home for your
Yeah,
family,
man.
man. That's exactly
Congrats
like I
on
just said it. This is what it's all about. Family.
congrats on everything, brother. Not even just the home, bro. Bro invested in the crypto, flipped his own mobile home. I
You're
wonder
right.
if he went.
Congrats on taking action,
Yeah,
period.
man. I wonder if he went through Byron and Sharnice's program. But whatever you did, shout out to you, brother. Just great for taking action.
Indeed, indeed. So rolling into it. Where you want to start today, my brother?
We could start with a topic that kind of got hot last week. I think a lot of people probably saw it. It's the father actually got arrested for leaving his kids in McDonald's while trying to get a job to support his family. Antonio Brown actually ended up starting a GoFundMe for him. I don't know if it was a GoFundMe. I'm sorry, but he did end up raising money for the gentleman. So Antonio Brown ended up raising money for the guy. Last I saw, it was like between $60,000 or $80,000 that he rose for him. Few stories then ended up coming out that this is something the guy has done frequently. His kid even spoke up about like, yo, my dad goes and leaves us there. It was the oldest kid. Me being the oldest child, I'm pretty sure that oldest kid was like, I'm tired of watching my brothers and sisters. So yeah, I'm gonna tell it all. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is just the positions that fathers have to go through to support their family, right? And not to make this a man or a woman thing, but I believe that if the shoe was on the other foot and we said, hey, this woman was arrested for leaving her kids there wouldn't be any outrage or anything like that.
I don't believe that. Not
You
gonna lie
don't
to you.
you don't
Nah,
think that there would be outrage?
no, I think there would be because you left children unsupervised at a public facility. I'm not knocking a brother for trying to go get a job, but you did mention that other things came out, and it came out of one of the stories, one of the reports I read was that he actually didn't have a scheduled job interview that day.
Mm-hmm.
He was like searching for work, which again, no knock on a brother trying to find an honest way to make a living to support his family. But when it comes to the idea of leaving children unsupervised in a public space, people are gonna draw conclusions.
Yeah.
And male, female, I don't care. They may not be as harsh in a degree. Like it may be oh man, she's just a single mom trying to get it. But you can't leave the kids unattended, dog. Not at no McDonald's. Not in today's society.
I would definitely agree with not leaving the kid unattended. But I would just say, I don't know if he had the mentality of by any means necessary, man. I got to do what I got to do to support my family. I will say, brother, if you got a cell phone, just get ZipRecruiter, get on Indeed. You can apply to those jobs that way. I know sometimes we feel like in the face follow up is something that's needed. But I also thought it was interesting because after the story broke, they said that the mom of the kids actually went down to the precinct to pick up the kids. So then that makes me ask, okay, where were you before? Were you at work? Or like what was going on to why someone couldn't watch the kids? Is there like no grandmother? That's another thing.
Yeah.
A lot of these grandparents nowadays, man, I could see if homie was just bullshitting out here in the streets, just doing nothing. A lot of these grandparents ain't like our grandparents, man. They don't
People
want to
don't got
watch.
mamas no more, man.
Yeah, they don't want to watch these kids. You got
They got
grandma.
grandmas.
Yeah, grandma want to be in the street, being a hot girl, and all of these things, and don't want to. I'm not saying it's their responsibility, but growing up, it was definitely the mantra of it takes a village to raise a child, and I feel like that is being lost in society.
100% agree. 100% agree. From a community standpoint, we not where we used to be. And I say, we grew up in a time where we actually got to witness that change.
And
Where when we were kids, I was joking about this with people earlier. We were kids, the old dude in the neighborhood give you a couple dollars to go to the candy lady house. And they'll be like, hey,
T. Joe,
go get me a loose cigarette or something like that. And use the rest of the money to get whatever you want. And the community has so much trust in it that you would have a 5-year-old kid walking down the street by himself with a cigarette for his neighbor, and you trusted him.
mm-hmm.
Like it's not a level of trust in the community that way no more because of that deterioration that you mentioned.
But once again, to the grandparents, I think this is also fucked up because those are the same grandparents who was dropping us off to their mamas so they could go party and do it all the turn up. Hey, sit y'all asses down. Y'all didn't partied enough. Once again, this brother wasn't even going to party. He's going to look for a job. Y'all offer those support. Don't be one of them grandparents who's just like, I ain't doing it. I raise my kids and all of these things. If you see your kid is trying to better themselves, they're actually trying to do right, offer them support because the support system is definitely needed when raising a child. And I'm speaking from experience. Like, it's not easy.
I believe you, dog. Hey, last thing I think about when I think about this, it made me think about the movie Pursuit of Happiness. Like,
why he was taking his son everywhere with him.
Yeah, man, maybe he should have tried to take the kid with him to the appointments, man. I don't know.
But it was 3 of them, man.
Hey, man, look,
they probably wouldn't have hired him. Been like, if you gotta do this just to get to the interview, how we know you gonna be able to work?
Nigga, this why I need a job, nigga. You see me with these 3 kids, I can't afford daycare. I can't eat. I need a job. I think it would really sell the point more is what I'm getting at. Just like, but when I say Pursuit of Happiness, he really had to fake it till he make it. Buddy was wearing suits out here trapping them damn machines.
I forgot what the machines was.
I forget too. I just know they didn't do it. They wasn't they were like obsolete by the time he was selling them. Yeah. But yeah, man, I hate to hear a brother struggling. I hope all goes well for the brother. We should have got his name, man.
Yeah, I don't know if his name ever was released. I didn't see his name float around.
Chris,
I'm sorry. Chris is his name. I don't know his last name. I actually say they've been homeless since November. Once again, I don't know how true that part is either.
Yeah, but prayers to Chris and his family. But man, he gonna get it figured out. I feel like, if that money that Antonio Brown raised is for real, that could be a good foothold, good start for them to kind of go in the right direction.
$60,000?
Yeah.
It's a great foothold.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. But moving on to the next topic. Next topic is actually a personal question. Question I want both of us to answer.
Okay, go ahead.
And I was reflecting, trying to just think of ways that we can make this a little bit more personal for the audience too, where they can kind of get to know us better. So, question is, who or what inspired you to start Black Wealth Renaissance, the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast, and how has your perspective evolved since its inception?
Okay.
I'll let you answer that first.
Loaded question, so I'll come at it in different chunks, right? So, who or what inspired the start of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast? Got to give a major shout out to Charles Oglesby, Todd Millionaire. Mm-hmm. He was actually the person that kind of was the catalyst for me. I had recently graduated college. I was maybe like 4 or 5 months out of college. I was working on an ambulance. And, I had this idea for so long that I wanted to help others while I was learning. And I wanted to build community while I was learning. And I struggled to do that because many of the people in my immediate circle weren't that. And I came across his podcast, the Millionaire Podcast. So I was listening to it, binging it one day while I was outside cleaning the ambulance. I'm just outside cleaning, listening to the show. And
was it named the Millionaire Podcast at that point?
It might have been the Todd Millionaire Podcast. It's been through a few different iterations. Yeah. But yeah, I was cleaning the ambulance, and he just kind of made a point of why wait? The longer you wait is the longer it takes for you to get to your goal. And that like in that moment, it just kind of clicked for me. It's like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm working for somebody else, building their dreams, building their goals, building their business, their empire. But what am I going to do for myself? What is the thing that I burn and desire and yearn for? How am I going to build it? Mm-hmm. And he just started the idea to just start. So that's whenever I started hitting up my homies like, hey, man, y'all want to do this? Y'all want to do this? Hey, I want to do this. And lo and behold, a few months later, I don't even say a few months. I'll probably say like in the next couple of weeks, Black Wealth Renaissance was birthed in this very rudimentary form where it started off as an IG page and then the podcast came about 6 months later.
Yes, sir. And so I'll answer that. I was there during the inception. I wasn't originally a part of the Black Wealth Renaissance team, but I feel like I was always a part of the Black Wealth Renaissance team. So I remember watching you and Jared work. I don't know if Kelly was a part of it.
No, not at the
but
time.
I remember watching you and Jared like work because we were actually working on wholesale. We're actually working on doing wholesaling, trying to get that first deal. We're so close to getting our first deal. We actually had something under contract, just couldn't actually, get it sold. And I don't know, but I think one day you was just like, "Hey, bro, you want to help me out with this?" Like,
Well, no,
would you?
it was kind of a process like where it became gradual because
Yeah.
we be over there doing our cold calling, working on the wholesaling stuff,
And then you would take a little time out to do a graphic here or there or something like that.
exactly like I'll be splitting my time after work working on wholesale and working on BWR, and then it kind of one of them days when we in these meetings, I'm over here meeting with, I think it started, like you said, with just me and Jared. Then Kelly came on board maybe like a month after we started. And then probably 2-3 months in, it's like, man, we meeting, you right here, you giving opinions and ideas and stuff like that. Like, bro, do you just want to be a part of this as well? Because, I mean, you're contributing to what we're doing here.
So yeah, and then I was just like, sure, man, I'll be a part of this. I'll join it because I saw the traction that was happening, but I also saw the impact that was being created by some of the stories. Like you said, I was giving ideas and everything, and then with the podcast, I think I might have taken the actual reins on getting that up off the ground. I think y'all probably came up with the actual hosting site, but like setting up the audio and everything, because that was just something that I was always interested in, was the audio. So
Man, we talked about a podcast for months before we started it. We'd be
yeah,
on the phone having conversations like, man, we should make a podcast. You know, niggas.
yeah.
Niggas how
And
niggas
then
do.
then I was just like, look, if we serious, this all we got to do. And that was actually right before the pandemic, so we actually started using Zoom before it was like really hot and everything. So Zoom was really basic, had a lot of really basic features. It didn't have like the virtual
Bro,
back.
we wasn't even recording video at first. We recorded the first John straight on Anchor.
We did, where everybody just joined the call. That was for like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Audio
Then-
sounding like
yeah.
crap. Y'all go back and listen to it.
Audio sound like bubble wrap. But yeah, we ended up doing that. We ended up putting it out. I was editing off the MacBook, and then moving forward, we're here. The second part of that question is, how has your perspective evolved since its inception? Do you want to go first on that answer, or you want me to go first?
If you got your answer, you can go first.
I think I got part of my answer, like most of my answer. So my perspective, coming in, we were fairly young. I think we probably were like 24, 25, somewhere around there.
Before going on 25.
Yeah, like fairly young. So my perspective was I can conquer the world. I'll be honest with you. I was young, had a lot of life, a lot of vigor, like just felt like, hey, whatever. Like I remember definitely staying up to like 6 o'clock to edit the pod, then going into work. But I said all of that to say I was willing to, and not saying that I'm not willing to do whatever, but like I was willing to really just move mountains to see this vision come to life. And then with that, that also came with me leaving my job very early. Both of us were working W-2 jobs. Wasn't really getting paid a lot, honestly.
Less than 30 racks a year.
Yeah, working both of those. Both of us working those jobs. And I ended up jumping off the porch, pursuing full-time entrepreneurship whenever I saw us start to really generate money through Black Wealth Renaissance. And I was like, oh, this is a viable option. All we got to do is,
let's give people, paint the picture for people, man.
yes, sir.
We started generating half of our annual salary in a month's time within the business. So we was thinking, oh, it's up, we on.
Yeah, like once again, making money in your sleep. Like that was our first time really like where you wake up to your phone, you're like, oh, I didn't had 5-10 transactions go through overnight. Like shit, we lit. So it's like if we got it lit, all we gotta do is add fuel to the fire. And I was willing to do that. But I will say the way that my perspective changes, I'm not gonna say it's a regret. But if I could go back and tell my younger self, I would have definitely told myself not to leave my job prematurely, to use that job to leverage as your primary source of income. That way you can keep as much money in the business to continue growing and scaling the business for two reasons. One, I didn't have the business acumen that I have now. So we made a lot of mistakes, which is how you learn. But I think learning while you have a full-time income versus relying on the business is a whole lot easier. And then two, once again, it would have been easier to scale with keeping all of the money in the business, because there were definitely times of struggle, shall I say.
Indeed. So
that's part of my answer. I'll let you go though.
okay, so how my perspective has evolved since we've started this is that the main way I'd say is you got to spot and identify the bullshit. I think I drank from the Kool-Aid a lot early. Whenever we were first coming in, like you said, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of vigor, willing to do all these things, we were focused on being busy a lot of the times, but busy wasn't always productive. Busy didn't always
Whew,
create the
boy.
result that we thought it was gonna create. And when I say the bullshit, I mean that idea that, oh, I need 7 streams of income. I need all the hot button and hot topic things that we were posting and sharing, right? Your job and your first investor, fuck that job. Drinking that type of Kool-Aid, that type of thought process, it played much more to my detriment than to my long-term success. Since doing so, right, since we've created BWR, I see things more for their perspective. I also have a much more long-term mentality. I had a very, very microwave mentality when it came to it because we started seeing success quickly. We started seeing success in terms of vanity metrics quickly. So those vanity metrics, they did turn into dollars, but they didn't translate to the way that I wanted them to. So it's really my big perspective shift is slow money's better than trying to flip money. I lost a lot of money and a lot of time behind shiny object syndrome. Learning lessons the hard way about trying to do everything that everybody we interviewed did. Because after you had this insight, you had this perspective, it
Of
felt
life.
easy to
Yeah.
go and do these things. Like, oh man, these people done broke it down. It seems so simple. And next thing you know, you're doing 10 different things. And it's like, slow down, bucko. Slow down. Run your lane, run your race, do what you gotta do. So that's I say the biggest thing and biggest mindset perspective shift that I've had since starting. It's just like it may not always happen when you want it to, but as long as you stay consistent and diligent, it's gonna happen if you're putting the work in and you're focused on being productive, not just looking or feeling busy.
That's a good one. So just to kind of hammer down on my last part of the perspective evolution is kind of like you spoke about us being able to interview so many people, being able to see the common themes of success, right? The common themes of what a lot of the successful people were doing, implementing systems into their business, doing things that was allowing them to grow and scale. That definitely changed my perspective in not just wanting to be an entrepreneur, but wanting to be an actual businessman. like someone who can actually run a functional business that doesn't rely on them. And then my last perspective change was I wanted to save the whole world, the whole community, but my guy Tim broke it down very, very simple. Everybody can't go.
Some of these niggas gonna get left behind, dog.
Everybody can't go. I can't save everybody.
How Cole said it, don't save them. They don't want to be saved.
Yeah, honestly. So those are some of the perspective shifts, is focusing on the people who do want to learn, focusing on the people who do want to go, and not worrying about what everybody else wants. But
You know, you're right, because that was something I'll say even with me too at the beginning. We kept having this real broad approach, right? That we
yes.
wanted to help everybody. And in business, that doesn't work. You can't help everybody. You need a target audience. You need a niche. You need people. Certain people have certain problems that your product or service or message can solve.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you shoot for everything, you end up missing most things.
Yeah. So that would be my answer to that, brother.
Indeed, indeed. Well, moving on, man. So getting into one of the hot topics of the week, the last couple weeks.
When most people think of life insurance, they think of death benefits. But did you know life insurance can also help you build wealth while you're still alive? With cash value policies like whole life or universal life insurance, you're not just leaving a legacy, you're building one. These policies grow over time with tax deferred cash that you can access for things like retirement, emergencies, or even investments. Plus, living benefits can protect you during life's most unexpected moments, like critical illness or disability, giving you the financial flexibility you need when you need it most. It's not just insurance, it's a tool in your financial tool belt. Visit the link below to learn more and start building wealth today. Viva la freedom!
Oh my goodness, man. So y'all already know it's been a crazy week in the United States, or really just the global economy. So we're gonna get into it, man. Y'all favorite person y'all hate to hear about on this show, the Orange Man. You already know how it go. Uh Liberation Day, man. The tariffs. We all know it's been one of the biggest things that's been going on in recent memory. It's had a lot of effect on markets to this point. And we just want to talk about the whole this in its totality and kind of just get some perspective and opinion on things. So for those who don't know, on April 3rd, the Trump administration announced a 10% universal tariff on all imports, as well as retaliatory tariffs on countries that America has a trade deficit with. So this ended up pushing the effective rate for tariffs in the United States from 2% on average to 22.5% over the last year. So now, if these tariffs that the presidential administration just put in actually do stick, we're going to be looking at a possible 20% increase in goods and services just roughly across the board, right? Obviously, there are going to be certain things that are going to be more affected than others, but across the board, it's going to be an increase in pricing, and we're going to feel it as consumers because, as we know, we've discussed this before, a tariff is a tax on imports, and that tax is usually the cost is passed off to consumers. Now, as a result of this announcement, we've seen the biggest market sell off since the COVID pandemic of 2020. So, as of Friday, we're recording this on Monday. The Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P were all down over 10%, and that actually happened. The first day, I want to say they were down like 5%. The Thursday after the announcement, and then China made their announcement that they were also going to be doing a retaliatory tariff to the retaliatory tariff that America had. So it's just a whole bunch of retaliation going on, and that also led markets to continue to slump. And then coming into Monday, things kind of continue to move downward, but not at the same rate. Um, But what this means is, right, what's going on, right, with market sell-offs. Anytime you see a market sell-off, what usually is happening is people are getting nervous. They think that, yo, man, this is going to be bad for the economy. This is going to be bad for most markets. Let me sell my stock, secure some profits. And it kind of creates that hysteria where we start seeing a bunch of people selling off shit and everybody's doing a run on the market, right? So we seeing things dip and people getting nervous and people wanting to move into safe assets. One thing that happened almost immediately after the announcement is we start to see bond yields dip. And whenever we see bond yields dip, that is because more people are investing in bonds. And bonds are considered safe assets where you may not get, where you're loaning money to the government essentially, right? You loan money to the government, you're going to get a lower interest rate, but you're guaranteed to receive that money back because the United States government never doesn't pay its bills. So you will get that money back even if it may be at a lower rate than inflation. I don't have the exact bond figures. I'm not a bond investor. But things that also contributed to, just this whole negative sentiment, we had the Fed Chair Jerome Powell stated that he also anticipated more inflation, so that just added more to the negative sentiment of the market. And on top of that, you got most economists coming out immediately saying this is a bad move, right? So there's a lot going on in terms of the whole tariff situation.
It
And
is.
we're seeing a lot of people run and try to sell, but you know where I'm standing. I said it a couple weeks ago whenever we talked about it on the pod. Whenever Warren Buffett was selling off some of his stocks, I kind of seen what he was going for with it, and I also de-risked some capital. So now some of that money I put off to the sideline, I'm seeing it as now is an opportunity to get some assets on sale. Everybody's running from the markets right now, so now is a good time to get into the markets, in my opinion.
I think you made a lot of great points, brother. One of the things that I also wanted to point out is the VIX index. VIX index is hitting levels that we saw during the pandemic as well. Currently, it's at 46.98. So it's up there. And anybody that doesn't know what the VIX index is, it is the fear and greed gauge that market analysts and traders and institutions use to gauge where the market is on fear and greed, basically.
It getting that sentiment right, and whenever what'd you say the number was? Is it above 70?
It's actually at 46.98.
Okay, so
And I'm gonna
okay,
tell you,
yeah,
I'll give you the exact number for March 20th, 22. Exact number was 66.04. So it's not quite pandemic levels, but it is the highest that it's been in the past 5 years.
got you. So people are getting on that point where they're selling off, they're getting nervous. Again, just me as a long-term investor from the perspective of where I sit, and most people who listen to this podcast, guys, we got time. Like, time in the market beats trying to time the market. And if you got the opportunity to get assets on sale, people be like, why would I buy the dip if it's gonna keep dipping? It's still cheaper than what it was. Like, for me today personally, I bought more Nvidia. I love Nvidia as an investment. I've been talking about it on here for weeks. Nvidia is one of my best investments that I've ever made since I started investing in stocks. So if it was 150 earlier this year and it's $50 cheaper now, why would I not buy it?
Facts.
When in the next 5 years we won't even be talking about this, and I'm gonna be happy that I did it when Nvidia is damn near $300 a share again.
Facts. And something else I want to talk about with like the buying at the dip and timing in the market. Something that not Warren, I think it is Warren Buffett. Something that Warren Buffett said is, you don't lose money until you sell.
Facts.
All that happened is the value of the stock changed, right? Tomorrow, if the value of the stock goes up, you didn't actually make money. The value of your stock just went up. You don't make or lose money until you execute the sale, right?
Facts.
So you lost money if you did sell because you got fearful and you were running. Once again, shout out to Warren Buffett. One of his greatest quotes: "Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy." So,
Exactly. You buy whenever there's blood in the streets, and right now it's real red out there.
and bro sitting on 300 B's right now. I know he about to come through and buy up some shit.
But it's not even just Warren Buffett. This has been going on. This has been a trend for a while. We get a lot of the big investors and publicly traded companies, stakeholders. We get their information like a quarter late because that's when they have to do their filings.
Yes.
But people have been selling stock for a while now. So it's kind of like this was something where people were anticipating some turmoil from the changing of the guard. So if you got some capital on the sidelines, you listening to this pod right now, I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to don't just sit here and wait on this opportunity, because a lot of us, whenever 2020 happened, we were punching ourselves and kicking ourselves that we didn't buy some of these companies at that price whenever things dipped during that flash crash. This isn't as major of a crash or a flash crash as that, but it still creates a buying opportunity to get some assets on a discount.
Facts. One of the things that I kind of do want to talk about with the whole tariffs and the Liberation Day is Trump's sentiment of this is going to be good for America. We're going to bring a lot of manufacturing back. We're going to have a lot of jobs and everything, right? I hear that shit. I really do, brother. But I ain't buying the shit.
And I ain't buying what you're selling.
This is why I'm not buying it, right? Because a lot of the announcements that I've seen for manufacturing isn't for a lot of the things that you use on the everyday average, right? Today, as of Monday, April 7th, he also announced that he might do another 50% retaliation tariff on China, which would bring the total to 104% import tariffs on China. All we got to think about that is an import tax. So whatever we was buying from China is now 104% more expensive.
Your iPhone,
going from 1,000,
your shoes,
all of that, right? So when we talk about these things and we talk about him bringing jobs, manufacturing back to America, I was doing some digging, like what are some of these things that are actually going to be coming to America, right? So according to industryselect.com, we're seeing a lot of automotive companies talking about opening up manufacturing facilities, such as Toyota to start production at a new North Carolina automotive battery plant for electric vehicles. There's a Freeman Seating Company, which is expanding its Chicago manufacturing facility. Then there's also ZM Trucks in San Bernardino County for its first North American plant. Then there's also a host of other there's BMW that's talking about opening up a facility in North Carolina. A lot of those are all car manufacturing plants. I don't even see a lot of the American companies talking about opening up new manufacturing facilities yet. I do think that could change because of the 25% import fees on all of non-American made cars. And that means if the car was assembled in Mexico and it comes back through to America fully assembled, but it's still a Ford car, there will be a 25% tariff on that.
They're also taxing on the individual components too, right?
Yes, sir.
Like they just do them, say like they build the
motor there,
the motor assembly, or the what do they call that?
Like the chassis.
The chassis. Yeah, there you go.
If the chassis is there.
Got it.
Yes, sir. You know I'm a car guy. But anything like motor, chassis, transmission, even down to the car parts, anything that goes there, if it has to come through import, it's going to get that 25% import on that. So once again, we spoke about this on a few episodes before. That means that repairing your car is going to be more expensive too, guys. But going back to more of manufacturing facilities that's coming. The energy sector, there's like cornering to invest $900 million in a new Michigan energy facility, ES Fondery to supply 300 megawatts of U.S.-made solar cells. There's TMEIC announcing a full operation in New Westport PV in Texas. Then there's also food and beverage. So there's Diego North America announces new manufacturing and facility in Alabama. I don't know what they produce. Let's see.
Hey, let me stop you right there, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you.
A
Like you
lot
said,
of these,
this sound all fine and dandy, but
but a lot
here's
of
the
these
reality
things.
of this situation. All these announcements are at least 3 to 4 years out on actual creation of production. We talked about on a couple episodes back how Arizona became like the AI and electric hub of America. If you look into the announcements of when all these things were actually announced, this was during the Biden administration during the pandemic. Is
Facts.
whenever a lot of these things were announced that, oh, we're going to be building these plants. TSMC is going to build a plant in Arizona. It took 3, 4 to 5 years for these things to actually get built and go into production. So while it sounds good, like you said, you selling it, but I ain't buying it. The short-term effects are going to be more long-term than the short term. When we think short-term, I'm thinking 6 months to a year. But I don't think that's going to be a 6 months to a year type play, if I'm being honest. And whenever we talk about these tariffs, I did just find, as I was doing my research and digging into it, man, one of the most egregious things about it was the way that they came up with these calculations, bro. Like these calculations are
Did
really,
you actually see the formula that was
yeah,
used?
yeah. So the formula that they came up with after people accused them of using AI to create it, and well, a few people, they actually just reverse engineered how they got it, and it didn't take them long, right? All they did was basically take whatever the U.S. trade deficit was, which is just whatever we import from that country less what we export to them, and divide it by the deficit, right? And basically, what it did was they came up with this arbitrary number, but it really doesn't make sense whenever you think about how economics works. Because we just talked about America, we don't really produce much here.
For those
So
of you who are watching on video, I just put the formula.
yeah, man, they put all that shit up there to make it look all fine and dandy.
I don't
They
know
tried to
what
throw
this
some little,
means.
they tried to throw some little, symbols and make it look like algebra and all that. But whenever you really look at it, at the end of the day, this ain't nothing but imports
Cockamamie bullshit.
minus exports divided by how much we export to them countries. And whenever you look at some of these countries that we apply tariffs to, it really don't make sense. Because like some of two very specific nations that I've seen examples of was Madagascar. Madagascar exports, I want to say something like $100 million worth of vanilla beans to the United States a year, but they don't buy nothing from the United States because the average person in Madagascar makes $1,000 a year.
Damn,
The fuck they gonna buy from over here?
that's crazy.
What are we selling out here that they gonna buy? Like, so we're putting these tariffs on the goods that we're buying from countries like Madagascar. Another one is Lesotho, which is another African nation, and I think they do denim and also diamonds. So again, the average income of a person there is $500 a year in American dollars. So they're not buying nothing from us. So whenever you look at their formula, they're not buying, we're not taking anything. They're not getting anything from us. All we're doing is adding a tax on goods and services that we already use and things that people here want because we're a consumer nation. So to me, all it's gonna do is create a situation where we're paying more for a lot of shit that we really didn't need to pay more for if the real beef here is with China. Cause that's what's really going on. It's not like the beef is with everybody.
Yeah.
The beef is with China. Why we gotta drag everybody into this and make everybody's life harder and more expensive just cause we trying to get our run our ones with China. I think it should have just been, a U.S. China thing.
So once again, the beef with being with China, I understand they do steal intellectual property. They do all of these other things. But in the long run, once again, in the short term, you're still hurting a lot of Americans, right? Because once again, where most of our clothing come from, where's most of our
Sri
tech.
Lanka, Bangladesh,
No, it's
India.
I was about to say mainly China, Vietnam, India, Pakistan. Those are places where a lot of clothing and stuff is being made. Sneakers, Vietnam. A lot of Nike facilities are based in
China,
Vietnam.
yeah.
So a lot of those things. One of the most interesting things that I saw was the tax on India. I think it went up to 26%. So with those reciprocal tariffs as well, those were on top of what we are already charging them too. So if we were charging them 16% and he said I'm gonna add 10%, like you just saw the 10% tariff on his little board that he was holding up. That 10% is on top of that 16%. So now it's up to 26. That's how China is currently at 54% tariffs. India, did you know that India actually produces about 90% of all generic medicine that's coming into the U.S.?
Did not know that, but that does not actually surprise me. Because again, we're a consumer nation. We don't buy nothing. I mean, we buy everything. We don't build nothing no more. We don't make things in America because we've seen the trend, right? It's cheaper to make shit everywhere else. Just because for the same reason, right? We talking about bringing back these factories and jobs to America. I seen somebody make a very valid point, man.
Mm-hmm.
We in America don't trust American workers. So why do we want to bring all this stuff here? Because we know people here, it costs so much to live. You're going to have to pay people X amount of dollars, and it's going to be more expensive for everyone if we do make things here.
I wouldn't say that we don't trust American workers either. I would just say
think we do.
I feel like people trust American workers, but that's
We
a whole
trust
nother.
Americans for customer service type jobs. We don't trust American workers for many things.
No.
When the last time you went to Home Depot?
Maybe
Or
like
Lowe's?
Last week.
Do you trust the average worker in Home Depot or Lowe's or AutoZone or Napa?
What you mean?
Do you trust their opinion to know that they know what the fuck their job is?
Napa, yes. I would say Napa, yes. But I haven't been to Napa in a long time. But like opinion basis and everything, no. But whenever I'm talking about these things, right? I'm talking about like a made in America like stamp or whatever, like manufacturing and everything. Like I feel like general Americans do trust those type of things. Like if it says manufactured, made in America or whatever, yes. But to your token is how much more expensive it's going to be, because once again, in a lot of these countries where these things are being imported from, they have very different labor laws. Here, you gotta pay minimum wage at least. So you at least gotta pay minimum wage. But who's gonna go work in a hot ass factory doing all of this dangerous stuff for minimum wage, right? Who's going to do all of these things? So now you actually have to pay them more than that. A livable wage. Minimum wage is not a livable wage to me. And we spoke about that before. Minimum wage isn't livable. You need to pay them a livable wage. And then what that is going to do is drive the price of all of these other products. Because now if it costs me $24 to make something that I was paying $2 for coming out of China, I still got to make a profit. So now that thing that used to be $15 is now how much? 40? 50? Exactly. So like they still want to make their money. So what I think is going to happen, me personally, is if we do move a lot of manufacturing to America, it's not going to be humans who are manufacturing these things. It's going to be robots. And that's why I think the Trump bringing back jobs is bullshit, because we remember what their big announcement is: $500 billion into data centers and all of these shits. What the data centers going to be used for? AI and robots. What you going to deploy and use the AI and robots for? Amazon is already ramping up on humanoid robots in their warehouses. You got Tesla doing these Tesla bots to go in their warehouses. Now, if I can create these things and I don't have to worry about injuries from humans, I don't have to worry about paying these humans, I can then run production around the clock 24/7 and just really streamlining it. So that's where I feel like a lot of the manufacturing is going to come from. You're going to build these data centers. You're going to need so much power. You're going to need so much of these things that's going to depend on these robots and this AI to create these things. That's how you're going to get your costs down. But we know America's greedy. They still going to jack up the price and say, hey, look, it still costs this much for us to make it. And we still going to lose in it.
Man, it's a load of cockamamie bullshit. That's how I feel.
That's my thoughts on it, though.
Yeah, it's not gonna end well for the average person, because of those points you just made. But when it comes to the whole idea of just the tax on citizens, the idea of playing bully ball with these countries, I think is hurting us more than it's helping. We got two different approaches right now when it comes to the U.S. and China. China is over here trying to make partnerships and allies, and the United States is out here basically saying, roll with us or get rolled over. And I don't think that it's going to be a good long-term strategy for us. I really do think we're kind of pushing the envelope on the adoption of China as the next global superpower. With the way things are trending, just because of the way China's economy has operated historically. Uh, but they have their communist background, and they used to have their ties to the Soviet Union. So America, we always been ops with China, right? China been one of our ops since World War II. But we started kind of being a little bit more friendly with them. I say somewhere around whenever they kind of cut ties with the Soviet Union, somewhere in the 80s. And then in the 90s is whenever we started exporting all our damn
Manufacturing and
to
business.
them. And China, one interesting thing with what they've done out there is, because of the way their economy operated, they kind of was on this like communist free market thing. So we're like, it was like still state controlled communist capitalism, and they were manually suppressing people's wages and kind of keeping people in poverty so that they can create a lot of goods to export. And that's actually what led to them building wealth so fast over the last few decades. Them and India both were kind of that same situation where now they're skilling up and they're becoming the next global superpowers. And with the way we doing things, man, we're not investing in the people here. We're taxing the people here, and they are investing abroad, investing in Africa, which is the youngest continent where the most young people exist, and they're building goodwill across across countries and continents, whereas we're
Across the
leaving a
world.
bad taste in people's mouth in this country. And I saw something mad interesting today, bro.
What's that?
Did you know that China is requiring, as of like
Yes, the
September,
kids to
yeah,
start
to start
learning
learning about
AI.
AI? I just think it speaks volumes that they are gonna make their kids start learning about AI as early as like the first grade.
And we worried about critical race theory
You feel me? Like
when we
it's
can't
two
even
sides of the
fucking
pendulum,
read.
bro. It's so sad how many of these kids in the 12th grade on like third grade reading levels.
Trust me, Tanae is a teacher. I hear the stories about these kids. Brother, it's crazy. It's utterly ridiculous. And that's something that I want to talk about. Like, you're talking about how China has positioned themselves and everything. I just feel like America isn't ready to let go the grips, but it happens. Like, you have your time where you can be dominant in the 20th century. That was our time. We dominated. We had the world's strongest markets and everything. I don't want to sound un-American, like I don't believe that our country has what it takes to keep this up, but I just go off of history. Like every great
I want to
civilization,
say it's what, like
it's about
257 or
it's about
three.
200 to 200. It's between 200 and 300 years that
Yeah, it's
they'll
like
normally.
250 to 300 years is how
Yes.
long a great
And then
civilization
once again,
lasts.
if we go back before us, it was Great Britain. Before them, it was France. Before France, it was Spain. Before Spain, it was Portugal. You can go through before Portugal. Then I think you're starting to get into like
Rome and all
Prussia,
them and all them.
Rome, and all of
Yeah.
those things, right? Alexander the Great. But you have the cycle, right? And I forgot who told us this. But if you pay attention to nature, nature has cycles, right? You can't disrupt the cycles of nature. It happens. The only thing that I think that could reestablish America as that dominant nation is us winning a major war.
I think that's what they're gearing up for, is to try to get us into another physical altercation, because that's kind of
Yeah.
how we've always kept America in the forefront, right? That's how we became the global superpower we are today. After World War II, we had everybody sign the Bretton Woods Agreement, and then everybody basically agreed to trade in the dollar, and everybody wanted the dollar, and they let us put military bases everywhere. So I'm right there with you, man. Like it's it's definitely, it seems like a last grasp to keep hold of that. But in my opinion, I really don't think it's that bad of an idea if we aren't the predominant superpower.
Mm-hmm.
I think Britain chilling now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't got to worry about all that other shit. Like
Yeah.
they could just do their own thing and have a bland ass food with their mayonnaise and chives all over it, and everybody
And
just had it.
beans.
Yeah, eating beans for breakfast, and like it's cool, bro. We right now we a third world country with a Gucci belt. Like let's just let them niggas have them problems. You know what I'm saying? So we can get back to focusing on what really matters and stop. That I just think the hardest part will be like the whole deficit situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the only reason we're allowed to operate on a deficit the way we are is because everybody wants dollars. So if that changes, the economic fallout will be rough, right? It'll suck for everybody. But again, the right now what's going on, we've said it time and time again on this show. Make sure that you are doing right by your money. Things are gonna get more expensive for everybody. Frivolous spending is not really on the agenda right now. If you ain't got it to do it twice, you probably shouldn't be doing it. I know people gonna want to tell you, man, go live your life, do this, do that. But man, sometimes you gotta have a long term mentality. Just like what we was talking about earlier, whenever we were talking about with the business and how perspective changes. You gotta think 3 to 5 years down the line sometimes and delay that gratification. Cause sometimes it's easy to want to do shit now and do everything that you think you can afford right now. But just cause it looks like you can afford it doesn't mean you really can. And spending that bread now can cost you some shit later. So just be wise. I ain't saying don't enjoy life, but I also make sure you putting capital off the side. Invest your money. Like I said, stocks on sale. Buy some stocks. Buy some stocks.
Yes, sir.
Buy some damn stocks. If you listening to this episode, go buy some damn stocks. Pull your phone up right now. Go buy some damn stocks. It's gonna come out Wednesday. I doubt the market gonna recover by then. Just saying. Go buy
Nah.
some damn stocks. I'm tired of niggas asking me, well, what should I go buy? Go buy go buy something, nigga. Shit.
So we could shift gears. Building wealth is about more than just the money you make. It's about what you leave behind. At Black Wealth Renaissance, we believe in creating lasting legacies for the ones we love. But have you thought about what will happen to your family when you're no longer here? Life insurance isn't just about protection. It's a way to ensure your hard work today keeps working for your family tomorrow. It's your opportunity to leave a legacy that will support their family. Take the next step today. Protect your family, secure their future, and build a legacy you can be proud of. Click the link below to get started today.
I do have a question for you, Jalen. And I want both of us to answer this one. So if you could have dinner with any black entrepreneur past or present, who would it be, and what's one question you would ask him?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it would be Reginald F. Lewis.
Why?
Oh, why? Just because of the things that he was able to amass as a black man, purchasing Beatrice Foods and having a global operation. The way that he was able to do corporate buyouts or corporate takeovers, and really
Leverage
leverage his law.
buyouts that we were talking about last week.
Yeah. So Reginald F. Lewis was the man with that. So that's the main reason. The way that he was able to operate a business at scale. And the question, what's one question I'd ask? Man, I got a lot of questions that I would like to ask him.
You only get one. Dinner with Jay-Z or $500K, what you taking?
Neither of those. I guess I would ask him, not what kept him going, because I would like to know what kept him going, but yeah, that'll probably be my question. Like, what kept him going in the face of all the adversity? Putting up his own money, getting partners, to structure these deals, having some of these things fall. What was the thing that kept him going, that kept him up, sleepless nights, all of those things? Like, what was that persistence, that determining factor that he had that allowed him to accomplish these great things? And I would ask him that so I can figure out how I can tap into that.
Okay. So flipping that question back on me, if I could have dinner with any black entrepreneur, past or present, the person that I would interview or have dinner with would be none other than one of the richest black men in the world. I think he's actually currently the richest black man, David Stewart. One reason being,
Of course, you would like to interview a David.
I ain't never met a bad David in my life, man. What you talking about, dog? Of course I want to interview him. He's one of the wealthiest black men in America in today's day and age. What he's been able to do with worldwide technology is amazing. I love to keep up with him. It's still one of the goals of mine with the platform that we would get to interview him, because I don't see no interviews of this man. I don't see no interviews that he spoke at like a few keynotes and stuff, and I'll watch him. I've read his book.
If anybody knows, y'all please make the connection.
That tap in, man. I would love that opportunity. But if I could only have one question to ask him, that question would be, what are the relationships that you built that led to you building worldwide technology? Because I don't think it just came out of nowhere. Then now you're like this IT tech services type conglomerate. This had to come from somewhere. There had to be people that put this in your ear, people that invested in you. So I really want to know what type of relationships and what type of intentionality you went into those relationships with. So I guess more so not what, but how. How did you build the relationships that led to building worldwide technology? Because that's something that I'm still working on my own journey as a business owner. I'm very much try to do it myself person, but it's not a do it yourself thing. It's your skills, your network, your faith, and really having that foundation of people who are gonna uplift you whenever you're not in the room. So that would be my question to him.
Good question.
Indeed.
I think those will be really good conversations to have.
Indeed. And I mean, he got like I said, I listened to his book. It's called Leadership by the Good Book. So he has a strong basis in the Christian faith. And that's one of the tenets that he leads his business with, is that. So I just being a good steward of business, but also it's kind of funny his last name's Stewart, but being a good steward of your business and really seeing how and what was done to create such a powerful business, because we don't see, it's not every day we see $1 billion black owned business built from the ground up, you know.
Facts.
Indeed.
Okay.
Speaking of spirituality and faith, though, man, I do want to segue into the next topic that we had, and this is something
Let's go.
that was going viral over the past week. It's been so many memes and jokes about it, right? And it really wanted to
Close the doors.
ushers close the doors,
Close the door.
right? So Marvin Sapp, right, acclaimed gospel singer, never would have made it, right? Made some great songs, songs that touch people's hearts. Award-winning gospel artist, went viral over the past week for being on the altar at a church he was visiting, and he was trying to raise 40K.
This actually from a whole year ago.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That is from a year
That's
ago.
crazy how the internet does things. So this is a year-old clip that somebody found, and
he was actually, it's not even a church. It was at a convention. It was a convention that he was at. They were hosting a convention, and the reason why he asked for the 40K was actually to cover the cost of the convention.
crazy. So I didn't even know that part of it, right? But it went viral over the past week, right? With everybody talking about, man, it's crazy. They locking people in the church and kidnapping people and trying to make money off of people. But the reason we want to bring this topic up is because I think the reaction to that says a lot about where the church is in the black community today, and the church's role in the black community and how it has really diminished. And I kind of want to get into why. Like, why did that happen, right?
And I will preface this with, I am a quote unquote pew baby, as they would call it. I grew up in the church. My grandmother, she's a pastor. Both of my grandmothers were very religious and heavily into church. But yeah, one of my grandmothers, she's a pastor. Two of my aunt and my uncle are both pastors, and I spent a lot of time with them. So on weekends, I was at church, or I was at a revival, or some form of something as church growing up. So I would preface this topic with that.
And I also grew up in the church. I grew up Catholic in a small Catholic church in southern Louisiana. Similar to Jalen, I was involved heavily growing up. I was an altar server, in the choir. Every weekend it was something related to.
You was an altar boy?
Hey man, relax. It wasn't none of that.
Were you fondled with?
None of that was going on in my church, nigga.
You might be entitled to a settlement.
You sound like Drewski. Oh yeah, he been fondled with. But no, in all seriousness, right? We've seen like this deterioration of the church as a institution in the black community, right? What started out as a forced religion on black people, right? Black people turned it into their own thing. We turned it from this white man's religion that was meant to oppress us to being a platform for like our spiritual and economic development. Whenever we think back to like the 60s and the civil rights movement, a lot of the biggest leaders in our community were associated with the church. The most notable one, Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, even Martin not Luther the King. Catholic Church, right? But some religious entity. Malcolm X was a part of the Nation of Islam, right? Nation of Islam. Like religion has always been a big part of organizing and getting people together. But now we know people don't really go to church like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't go to church that often, like physically.
Man, I was trying to find this clip of Jamal Bryant out of Atlanta. He was actually speaking about it. He was like, it's not even just that people don't go to church. It's specifically black men that don't go to church, right? And he was just talking about how whenever the clip surfaced of Marvin Sapp, the most critical people of him were black men. A lot of the commentary that they were sharing was, see, this is why I don't go to church. This is why I don't do all of this. But then he also shared a few other statistics, being that black men also are the highest believers in a higher power in God. They just don't actually go to church and exercise religion. Black men also, it was one other quote that he was like, black men is also like very high in with something dealing with church. I don't remember what it was. But then he also flipped it. He was like, it's interesting that the church is 80% women, but the mosque, which would be for our Muslim people, the mosque is 80% men. So he was like, it's not that we have a belief problem. It is definitely a church problem, right? So what is the church lacking that is not drawing in black men, or just really the younger generation in general to that? So I think the conversation that you're bringing up is very, very relevant.
Yeah. And it went to kind of answer that point. What I think it's turned off for us, most black men, is it just seemed fake. A lot of it is commercial and commodified. Like everything associated with it, a lot of the times is for appearance. It's to keep up with what people expect of you as a Christian or of a person of faith, and it's not so much about building actual community, it's about keeping up with appearances. I feel like that's a lot of the sentiment toward it, and a lot of that comes from, again, that commercialization of church, right? It's a joke with the Marvin Sapp thing because we've all kind of just become numb to the idea of church not us tithing is not us giving money to go to God's work. It's us giving money to fund the lifestyle of a pastor or a congregation. Like it's crazy how things have progressed. And we were watching an interesting video on this. Like we grew up in an era where we were in small churches, where like there was a lot of sense of community. But at that same time, the idea of a mega church really started to grow and blossom.
Yeah,
And
with the emergence of Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, who are some of the other pretty big mega churches. I just know those two right off the top of my head.
Yeah, and it's like as
I think it's Pastor Kearney Thomas.
that nigga.
Yeah,
You deserve a miracle. $20, your personal prayer package. Like
what that's even another thing, right? The commercialization of the prayer hotline, and you paying for someone to pray for you on live TV. That all played a factor into people commoditizing faith.
yeah, and it's like the whole personal prayer package and the extraness,
The magical spiritual water. I remember
the
that.
extraness too. Like a lot of men not with that, bro. Like all that. How many clips have you seen of people where they like doing the blowing on people and they catching the spirit and all that extra shit? You know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Whenever people be doing all that, how many of those clips you see where it's a black man in it?
You're right.
You
Now that I think about it.
rarely ever see us in those clips because it's a show. It's like you're taking something that's supposed to be sacred, something that's supposed to be a platform for us to build, and you're turning it into a show. A lot of these churches today, like if you go into them, the production value is too high. Like why I feel like I'm at a concert. We got lights and streamers and props and all this shit going on. I came in for a message. It don't take all that. And I think a lot of that is what turns us off. And because all that stuff costs money. It does. I think it's with good intentions, but it seems like it's not going back to the actual building of community. It's going into the commodification side of it, like materialism.
I'll play God's advocate on this.
Okay.
You know that I said God's advocate. I think that a lot of the churches feel like they need to keep up with the concerts, keep up with some of these other things that are quote unquote taking people's attention away from the church. So I do feel like that's why that production value is there. I do think the production value also increased a lot once the pandemic happened, whenever church was then streamed a lot. Yes, before that, it was still on the rise with what you see at a lot of the churches. Like, I saw this like play that happened. I was like, bro, this is better than a Broadway show. Like, some of the theatrics, they had pyrometrics and all of these things. I was like, dang, this is church. So I definitely get it. But I will say, I feel like they feel they have to compete with some of the other things that is taking the attention away from the congregation.
But here's my issue with that though, right? Because the word in itself, like, it should speak to you, not all the bells and whistles. If the bells and whistles are what's bringing you there, are you really there to worship? Are you really there to learn? Are you really there to be fed spiritually? Because to me, all it comes back to is really the big problem that I see with all this is the materialism side of it. You know, like T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, those guys, we mentioned them, they popularized that prosperity gospel stuff where it's like, yo, you know, like, you gonna be rich and everybody deserves to have the nicest things. And that's not what faith was about for the longest. And I know it's kind of ironic coming from us on the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast where we talk about building wealth, but I don't think that the goal should always be to think that God wants you to be rich. I don't think God wants all of us to be rich as can be. I don't think he wants everybody to be Elon Musk rich. I think he wants us to be well off. I think he wants us to live good lives and live abundantly, but I don't think that we should live in excess. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect comes too.
Wait up, pause, brother. I know you're about to go on the roll, but you got to break that down. Abundance versus the excess. That was a good nugget right there.
So, because like abundance is you don't want for anything, but excess is greed, and we know that greed is one of the things it's one of the great deadly sins. It's one of those things that is constantly we're warned against. That famous quote, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." That's greed. You want so much, you're never satisfied. That, like, you thinking, oh, this is just abundance, but abundance, you had everything you really wanted, everything your heart desired, everything you needed, but you just wanted more. That's excess.
That's the greed.
That's greed.
That's the excess.
Yeah,
but the abundance means that your needs are met and you have a little more to go, but you don't have 15 million whatever you need. Like, you don't have a whole bunch. I got you.
Like, you don't need $15 billion to live, right? That's excess.
Honestly, you don't need more than 3 cars.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is to the point where it's like, okay, am I really helping or hurting anything? You know, like, the point I'm getting at with it is we see that in a lot of pastors where it's like, you know, you see these dudes, they dripped out in designer on the pulpit. They got
Gucci.
They got Rolexes and all this, and it's like, you're this image of material wealth. Well, I'm tithing and offering every Sunday. You telling me I'm gonna be rich, but you wearing my money, nigga. You scamming me, nigga. You're a scammer. That's really what it seems like. And I feel like that's why a lot of black men are getting turned off by it, is because it seems like you playing in my face, and you using God to do that. And until like we get to a point where a level of modesty comes back into it, and we can see the works through the money that's being sold into it, I don't think we'll see a reversal in that trend. Because I think about the example of where I grew up in, the church I grew up in, right? Small Catholic church. I worked for that church every year my entire life as a child. We would do a big fundraiser for the church every year.
I think you actually mentioned it a few weeks back on the pod.
Yeah, like we raised $100,000, but you would never see none of that money in the church. And they had some people who had their hands in the pot. One nigga was taking a vacation every year right after it.
Yeah,
you know
say you go to
Like,
California?
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell, bro? Pardon my French, like, this isn't what this is about. And it's easy to criticize and say, that's not the solution, but like just you doing it with a good heart isn't gonna fix a lot of the big problems that system inherently has.
I ain't gonna lie, brother. You just said a whole mouthful, like, because once again, me growing up as well, it's no reason why your pastor should be driving off in a Rolls Royce and the congregation is suffering.
And you told me to go pray about it. Nigga, I'm struggling. This is my last $20.
Yeah, it's no reason why. Then the Rolls Royce isn't the only car, right? Now they have these other 2, 3, 4, 5 other things. Like, it's no reason that should be the thing. And you have people in your congregation who cannot afford food. They can't afford these things, but they're putting their best foot forward. They're trying to dress their best to come to church. I think that's another thing is that come as you are. Whereas if it is people who are coming as they are, you will get criticized a lot in the church as well. And I think that's another reason why people are turned off as well, because sometimes the church will be the biggest place where you get criticized.
That's a fact.
And once again, I think it just should just come back down to the love, the practicing, the faith. Ultimately, whenever you're finding your church home, do you feel full from the word? And then are you spending time by yourself to actually understand the word and not just regurgitate what your pastor is preaching to you? Or are you going to Bible study to where it actually breaks down the word? I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, growing up, whenever I go to Bible study and really get, like, understand and really learn more, it was like, oh, this is what that means. This is what, like, you really get to really, really understand, and they really break down the Bible.
Give you some context.
It always felt, the context always felt different, because sometimes you'll hear a word in the Bible, but there's a dictionary in the Bible and it tells you, like, this is what this word means or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, I understand more now. Yeah.
And, I'm glad you brought that up, because, for me, it was very different growing up. I don't know how many people are Catholic that listen to us.
My other grandmother was Catholic. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I hated Catholic church.
Yeah, Catholic church.
Hated that
Catholic
shit.
church does not encourage a lot of free thought.
Man, Catholic church is like the whitest of the whitest fried chicken, dog.
Bro, don't do that to my church. Cause see, we still black though. You know what I'm saying? People be, man, no, don't do that to me, dog. Don't do that to me. Cause look, they be over here like, dang, how you know that song? I thought you was Catholic. I thought y'all was in there.
Yeah,
that's not how we was getting down. We was, on the battlefield for my Lord. Yeah, we still get down.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? We still get down. We know.
Cause the two Catholic churches I went to was Holy Ghost and what's the
There's
one?
There's a leak in this old building.
No, they was not singing
and
none of that,
my
brother.
soul has got to move. We still had like a black choir, a black community at our church. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, nah.
But the actual structure of the service was very much like what you're talking about. And it doesn't encourage the free thought. It doesn't encourage those additional conversations and context. And like you said, I think when it comes to just kind of putting a bow on this conversation, black men don't lack spirituality or belief. We just lack a place to outwardly express it. And sometimes that doesn't look like this commercial church. I feel like a lot of us feel like that stuff is playing in our face. And realistically, I have a better time at a small church with an intimate crowd. I went to a Hispanic church one day and I was so moved, man. It was just a small church.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Small church on like Prayer Mountain here in Dallas. I was so moved. Like you could feel the genuineness in it. It was a non-denominational church. And I think usually like a non-denominational church, you will feel a little bit more genuineness because it's just a little less structure. But
I like non-denominational churches as well.
Because why we gang banging on God?
Why we gang banging on God?
Yeah, like I'm a Catholic, nigga. What? We don't mess with them
Big
Baptists. We don't mess with them Baptist niggas. What are we doing, bro?
I coming through on P Pentecostal. Chill out.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to like what you said, the genuineness, the sense of community, the sense of actually helping out one another in the church, I definitely think needs to return.
Definitely. I think it would be a good platform. And this is just to hold the church's feet to the fire. I think the church should, and I will give one of them credit, one community here in Dallas. They did do that. I think more churches should play a role in the financial literacy space, in educating their congregants, because that is one of the only places you can get black folks to go and be a unit. So if you can get a bunch of us in one room, yeah, you can feed us the word, but you could also give us something that's going to be a little practical. In one community, they did do that. They did do it through the Dave Ramsey Baby Steps program.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it helps people, but I just think more people should implement that type of stuff. Actually, one of our first speaking engagements as Black Wealth Renaissance was at a small church was that in Natchitoches?
Natchitoches.
Yeah. And we spoke to like a group of like, what was it, like 15?
Teenagers.
15 people or something like that?
Yeah, some teenagers, bro.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is more impactful than, you know, trying to make it look sexy for the gram as a church. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we got to keep up with the times.
Shout out First Baptist on North Street in Natchitoches. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's a fond memory.
Exactly. You feel me?
That made me happy.
You forgot all about that, huh?
A little bit. It was deep in the archives, but it's there. I remember that. That's cool, dog. Do you want to get to anything else? You want to save some of this stuff for later? You got any other topics you want to get to?
Man, we could move everything else into the next one. I mean, we get like an hour and a half right now. Yeah, man. I think that's a good little pod length. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a good way to close. It's a little heavy though. You want to close on something lighter? Oh, let's close on something lighter, man.
Okay. What you want to close on?
I got something for us to close on, something light.
I feel like this is about to be straight bullshit.
You know it, nigga.
Oh, this was crazy.
A month.
$1,183.
How long are you financing for?
285 months.
Yes, sir, Miss Mims. How much did you put down?
What?
20 bands.
20 bands. How much are you paying per month?
$1,183.
How long are you financing for?
Cap.
285 months.
Yes, sir, Miss
How many
Mims.
years is that, first of all?
20 bands.
How many years is that, man? 85 months divided by 12. That's 23.75 years.
Stop
bro,
the cap.
That vehicle ain't even gonna be running right.
Bro, they said 20 bands down.
I really think those clips are rage bait at this point, brother.
Bro, that's 100% rage bait. And I'm mad. They got me. Because $20,000 down, 20,000 American dollars.
Hold on. I gotta do
285 months.
How much she said she was paying?
$1,183 a month, Jalen. She paying for that car 12 times. That's $337,155,000 for those that's listening. Add the $20K on top of it.
Oh, you're right. Plus $20K.
So that's
30. Yeah.
$357,000 American dollars for a fucking truck.
That's crazy.
Nigga, are you crazy?
Once again, I really think it's parody, but I do think some people do kind of get trapped into these situations. I don't think as long, but I think
I know it's a parody because I seen that too. She ain't got that car.
Bro, chill out. Chill out. He said, I seen that too.
You seen it too?
You are hilarious.
You know, hey, look, you know my rule. I got the teeth test.
You're hilarious, dog. I will say this. I think it's a parody, but I do think it speaks to why, once again, a lot of Americans are broke because a lot of us are car rich and
no,
broke.
We not car rich. We driving our wealth. I'm not gonna call it car rich because you can't be rich on something you underwater on.
But yeah, we driving our wealth, driving our paychecks. Honestly, is what we driving. So yeah,
she worse than that nigga I was telling you about last time when my cousin was telling me about
that. And that's the thing though, because you actually knew somebody who's paying $1,800. I want to know how many months he is paying for that, man.
Bro, it's probably more than 60.
If he's paying,
that still hurt my heart.
And did he tell you he put a down payment down or anything like that?
I don't remember, man. I don't remember. I try to push that to the back of my mind.
That's still hurt my heart, dog.
Guys, y'all gonna get tired of us talking about it, but y'all get tired of me talking about it. Don't go buy no damn new car if you don't need one.
Yeah.
Stop that shit.
And that's actually something that I'm seeing is a trend, kind of like calling back to the tariffs. It's a lot of people who are actually buying new vehicles right now, trying to get them before the tariffs go into effect. Which I think is crazy.
Vehicles. I understand you need reliable transportation to get to and from work. But nigga, let's be fucking for real. Do you really need another $1,200 a month bill?
If you don't need it, don't go get it.
If you thinking about, I might go trade my shit in, and you almost done paying off on it, why? Is it broke? You got problems with it? No, that bitch run fine. You just gotta put some new tires on it. Bitch, go put them tires on that car and stop playing.
Telling.
Pay that motherfucker off. Save that money every month. Jalen just told y'all he felt like he took the shackles off his feet whenever he got done with that car note.
Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance.
I got rid of my car note, nigga. I'm happy as hell. I said I ain't never going back.
I just want to praise him. What you want to do? I just want to praise him. Hey, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Yes, sir.
That's craziness. I don't think that's for real either. But 285 months, 20 bands down, 1183 a month. Yeah. Guys, is a parody, but at the same time, this is somebody's reality. Not 285 months, but
definitely paying $1,000 for
like $1,000 for a vehicle, $1,800 for a vehicle. Insanity.
That's egregious.
You can get something cheaper. Stop trying to flex and live that YOLO lifestyle. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
And learn how
go buy some goddamn stocks. Shit.
You are crazy, dude.
Mad now, nigga.
Well, look, why you being mad, man? Let's wrap up the show, brother.
Nigga, I'm pissed. Niggas
we should have just ended on the other one. You wasn't upset about the church conversation.
You right. I should have. Now I'm mad. I just thought about it. Niggas always talking about some. See, man, I'm gonna go get this car.
You gotta think about what I said at the beginning. Everybody can't come. Sometimes you just gotta let them niggas fail.
You right, bro. You right.
Sometimes you just gotta let them niggas be. You get your blood pressure all high.
As always, guys, want to thank y'all for tuning in to another installment of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast. Hope that you got some value from this episode. As always, we ask that you leave us that 5-star rating and review. It helps us continue to give you content and grow the show. We got some things in the pipeline for y'all. Like we mentioned a couple weeks back, we are going to try to start bringing some interviews back on. Increase the frequency of some drops. So y'all stay tuned, stay tapped in with us. We definitely want to keep giving value in every way possible. Jalen and I are having great fun doing these episodes where it's just us and we're getting to give you guys our perspective and you're getting to know us better. But we also want to make sure y'all getting some other perspectives too. We want to have some conversations with people, bring others in. So we're going to continue to do what we do. But yeah, Jalen, you got anything for the people?
Man, I'm going to close us out with this prayer. And once again, just a 5-star rating in the review. Y'all definitely dropped that. But let's go ahead. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you today, humble servant, just saying thank you. Thank you for allowing us to have these conversations. Thank you for allowing us to be a blessing onto others. We ask that you continue to shine your light through us, that you continue to allow us to help people get to better situations in their lives. We ask that you bless everybody with abundance, not excess, but abundance. Allow us to live fruitful lives. Allow us to live virtuous lives. Allow us to experience the joys that you want us to experience. We know those joys don't come without pain, though, and allow us to weather through and navigate through that pain and keep our faith in you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, y'all, as mentioned, man, as I always say, from his lips to God's ears, man, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. We love y'all. Y'all,
Yes, sir.
give somebody y'all love a hug. Go buy some damn stocks. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a kiss. Tell them I love them too. We want to see y'all all have great, abundant, and blessed lives, man. And until next time, this is BWR signing out. Peace.